Welcome back to another edition of the Red State Rundown. My name is Misty Morgan, and this is Brandon Shoup.
Yep, glad to be here.
And this podcast is all about bringing in experts from around the state, mostly, narrowing down to the southern part of the state. So that means we are bringing in Mayor Mark Saliba. Hey, Mayor.
Hey, hello. Glad to be here.
Now, this is going to be a special podcast because we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and so we want to, and the holidays just in general, so we want to take a moment to shine a spotlight on exactly what is going on in our area as far as the holidays.
Yeah, exactly right. And Thanksgiving, and I tell some people this, is by far my favorite holiday because of the food. And the great thing about being a county commissioner or a county chairman is that you get invited to all these, especially senior centers, where they celebrate Thanksgiving, and that's a lot of turkey, that's a lot of dressing, and I'll be honest with you, from the first Thanksgiving meal I have, which will start this week, and end end the day of Thanksgiving when I celebrate Thanksgiving with my family. I love that food just the same on the last day as I did the first day. By far my favorite holiday.
So that means you double up on your exercising.
Sure.
Well, let's start with that, Mayor. What is your favorite Thanksgiving meal then? Or side or?
Well, I'm partial to the dumplings. I just love a good homemade dumpling with the turkey and dressing and all of that. That out of everything from ham and all of that, I think the dumplings is my favorite.
Yeah. Dumplings are good. I've got a funny story. My grandmother, when she was still alive, as you get older, sometimes you start to lose your filter a little bit. And so, she was still alive at the time, and my mom had made chicken and dumplings for Thanksgiving. And my grandmother's kind of going down the line, checking this out. And she said, "Chicken and dumplings." Huh. Put the lid back on and kept going. My mom was standing right there. Yeah. Me and Mom just looked at each other and smiled. It was a fun moment.
Dressing is definitely my favorite. My husband and I just smoked some chicken to put in our dressing that's coming. I cannot wait for the dressing.
A good sweet potato casserole that's done with a lot of brown sugar on it, that really could be substituted for your dessert. I mean, it's awesome.
Yes. So let's talk about what is going on in Dothan first before we get into what's happening holiday-wise in Dothan. There's some major changes happening to downtown Dothan coming very soon. Where are we at with that?
Well, we're still real excited about all of it. We're going to be opening bids, matter of fact, on the Opera House, which is the first phase, is adding the pre-event and post-event lobby areas to the Opera House and enhancing some of the older stuff that was in the Opera House that needed doing, as well as then creating the green space, kind of an amphitheater, smaller amphitheater, where the Dothan Utility Building was, which all fits into a larger picture and master plan. But this is the first phase. We hope to break ground on that either at the end of this year or the very first of next year. So we're real close, real excited about that, and it's really going to open up, not just that area, but all the way to Foster, so that you feel safe when you walk from Foster Street to Andrew and towards the Civic Center, and better lit, more open. We're going to add some public bathrooms down there as well, that will only be open during the day or at night when we have events, but at least it would also give some relief off of some of the businesses that are in the downtown area that when we've had large events, a lot of times that they had to deal with some of that,
One of the chief complaints.
That's always been a concern, so we're hoping to solve that as well with this first phase.
Wonderful.
You talked about that transition, traveling from, I guess, the Civic Center now to Foster Street. I've never felt unsafe, but it is an awkward transition, and I guess this redevelopment will kind of solve that awkward transition.
Well, in light does a lot for things, and so LED lighting in places, and even whether it was safe or unsafe, just the feeling and the perception. So if young ladies are there coming back and forth from the restaurant, going to an event, we want them to feel comfortable and safe and secure. And so lighting is a big part of that. Open spaces where nobody can hide, and I think is a big part of what we're doing.
So then we finish that phase, and then what's the second phase?
Second phase is the Wiregrass Innovation Center, the 45,000 square foot building that the Hudson Alpha Wiregrass will be in 30,000 square feet of it. There's a third floor that's 15,000 square feet that we'll be trying to bring in other entities as well with Hudson Alpha Wiregrass and themselves. So, entrepreneurs that are in the biogenetics field of agriculture, and innovators, and maybe even some other entities. We would love to plant an Auburn University flag, or a Tuskegee University flag here, and then have some type of collaboration as well. Anything that we can do that enhances agriculture, which is a huge part of our economy, but can even be so much more when you add the research and development piece to it. And then we're into the creation of job creation, as well as making the jobs of the future. So it's great that we have all these jobs right now, but what is it going to look like 15, 20 years from now? And genetics is a huge part of, and going to be a huge part of our ecosystem.
You talked about. I want to take you back to the pre-event, post-event space for the Opera House. Like,
yes.
what does that mean?
Well, one of the pieces to the Opera House that was always a little bit of a weakness was the lobby when you first come in. It's very narrow. It's not very wide and big, and so before shows and after shows, people coming in and getting tickets and all, it's too tight. And the bathrooms needed upgrading. They're smaller. They're not as ADA compliant. They're ADA compliant, but we want to make them bigger and more accessible and easier to use as well. So we are also creating on the side of Main Street the largest part of this addition, which would be a place where not only could it be used for a pre-event, post-event, but also for announcements. Say, Chairman Shoup brings something coming to the area and wants to make an announcement.
I like it.
There instead of in the chambers here at the county admin building. You could do that. It's going to have a nice video screen wall so that you can have a lot of nice audio visual stuff there. It'll be somewhat of an event area, not an event space competing with other companies and businesses, but a place where we can do more than just use it during a show, but especially during shows. So when during a break of a show, they'll be able to spill over into that area, and there may be depending upon the show, you could have catering there and have food. So we're real excited about that. We think it will make the Opera House more usable, and it's a wonderful, wonderful building. Historically beautiful, the acoustics in there, people that still come and play music there, especially the smaller settings with, a couple of guitars, and they really love coming and singing and playing in the Opera House. And every time we have an event there, it feels a little more intimate and close with, and so when you're right there, there's a lot of good seats. There's not hardly any bad seats. You're not way back up in in the nosebleed section. And so it's just, I think it's going to be a wonderful piece, for again, all of this is for the future, now and for the future. But for the next 20 or 30 years, we feel like it's something that people can really enjoy.
Because we're getting on the map, let me tell you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Aren't we, though? I mean, all around the state and really around the country. And now with a lot of the businesses that we have here around the world, people are knowing about Dothan, Alabama.
We have a really good, diverse economy here, and it's not any one particular thing. But, where we get lost is they look at Dothan, they look at the population, they think, well, it's only 72,000, which, by the way, is the 8th largest city in the state. But when you drop a pin in the middle of the circle and you go 50 miles out in any direction all the way around, there's 500,000 people. And so, we are the hub, Dothan and Houston County is the hub for health care, and for retail and for entertainment and food and job creation. So, we go from 72 to about 105, 110,000 people in the city that are working during any given day. And so, yes, we are garnering a lot of attention. But, it's work. I mean, you have to get out there and tell your story and tell, just really what we're all about. But I do think at the end of the day, it's the quality of life that's the most important. It's not as much about being the 8th largest city or the 10th or the 15th or the 20th, but what kind of quality of life does our citizens have? I think that's what's really important.
Yes.
I know Huntsville kind of cracked this nut a few years back where, they had all these high-tech and defense industry-related businesses, and they had a hard time recruiting people. And I think the philosophy that they took is that we got to make Huntsville cool. And I know Bentonville, Arkansas, you and I went on a trip up there, and they had very similar issues with Walmart. They realized, okay, we got to compete against Amazon. Amazon is a thing. It's not a fad. We got to get some smart people in here. They had a hard time getting smart people because, no one wanted to move to Northwest Arkansas. It just wasn't a cool place to be. And so they, through their resources that the Walmart family and the Walmart Corporation have, they made some things happen, and now it's a fantastic place to live. And I think that's the philosophy that you and I kind of have in common, is that we've got to make Southeast Alabama. We got to raise the level in terms of quality of life, and we got to make it a cool place to live. So, and I think the downtown redevelopment, to me, is one of those pivotal moments in our community's history where we can pull off something very spectacular. So I'm very excited about it. But I'm going to ask you the question that probably you get quite a bit. When are we going to blow up the Civic Center?
Well, it is after the Wiregrass Innovation Center is started. We're going to be focusing on, of course, we're looking at doing at least one hotel in the downtown area. We've talked to a few hoteliers already, using our piece of property there on the Civic Center parking lot. We know, of course, that would mean also putting in a parking deck. But we feel like as a part of that piece of as you're looking at expanding the arena to where we can do more things, more entertainment, more indoor sports, which we don't have a lot of the indoor sports. We got a lot of wonderful parks and facilities for outdoor, but indoor sports, which is really big now and makes return on investment pretty strong. We need another hotel or so in the downtown area. So that would be something that we don't have to build. The taxpayers don't have to worry about us spending money on that. That's private capital coming in. So all of this is intended to help spark private capital to be spent in the downtown area, so that we don't have to do it. But somebody had to get it going, and so using our property as an enticement to do so is just good development. And so I think that we're on the right track. I think some of the things we've already been beginning to see as a verification of that and validation of that as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about Dave Stock. He's developing the Hump. I don't know, Misty, if you've seen that. It's a mixed-use property at the Hump in downtown Dothan. And one of my earliest memories is Mom speeding up as she goes over the hump, and it kind of gets you in the tummy. Yeah. But so I mean, really, I know y'all been doing work with utilities, but there's no new structures that have gone up yet. But already we're starting to see plans being drawn up for other development. So exciting.
The Denny Vision building sold, and there's plans for a retail and a live work as well. We're excited about that one because it's a big building. I think they're going to remove some of the old stucco and expose some of the old brick that kind of blends and looks more like older downtown pictures that you saw back when I was a boy back in downtown Dothan, and so we're excited about that one as well. A lot of great plans for all of that, and it's coming together. Now it's slow, it's work and it's slow, and it's but it's moving along, and I feel real good. I think the commission feels real good about where we are and what we're doing, and I hope that all the citizens feel the same way.
So far, Mayor Saliba has talked about what's going on in downtown Dothan, but stay tuned, because in a few minutes he's going to talk about his longer range plans for the city of Dothan, as well as some of the challenges faced by the city. But before we get back to that, I wanted to bring you a quick message by Susan Anderson of Eagle Eye Outfitters. She is one of my dear good friends. She's going to bring you a happy Thanksgiving message, and stay tuned for the end of this episode, and you'll also hear similar messages by Dothan City Commissioner Gant Pierce and Wiregrass United Way CEO Walter Hill.
Hi, I'm Susan Anderson from Eagle Eye Outfitters here in Dothan. I wanted to pause a minute and ask, what are you thankful for? That question will flow out from around the tables and over the tops of turkeys and hams and all the fixins all around the wiregrass this coming Thursday. But take this time, or at least a moment, to pause to think through all that we have to be thankful for, all that we have been blessed with, our friends, family, hope, forgiveness, life, love, peace, and faith, and give thanks to the Lord because His love does endure forever. Really, shouldn't every day be Thanksgiving? From my family to yours, may you have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
I love strategic planning. I did not realize how important that is for people who have that gift to be able to look 10, 20 years down the road and say, that's where we need to go. And then we're going to back up from there. And that's why we're so fortunate to have the leadership that we have now, as you guys really are forward thinking. And we cannot appreciate that enough because it takes that. You can't stay short-sighted.
No, and again, it's not just about bringing in a lot more people. It's about, so for instance, with the whole biogenetics and all of the genome and the DNA. So going forward in the future, so pharmacology, so looking at designing medicines that fits your genetic makeup. Yes. is where we're going with that, because the same medicine doesn't always work on all of us because our DNA is different, and so it's going to affect how they manufacture medicines. Genetic counselors, when you go and you meet with your internist once a year, and you might meet with a genetic counselor and they run your DNA, which is not as hard to do anymore or expensive, and it can tell you, do you have the proclivity to have certain diseases, and so they can start working on preventing that from happening instead of waiting until you actually have some kind of disease. Yes. And the only outcome you have is chemotherapies and some of the things that are really harsh on your system. So that's the future, and we want our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren to be able to participate in that. Again, we have wonderful healthcare facilities here, and we are the hub for that. Within, you say 50 miles, but really you go 50 to 100 miles and you have a choice. Do I go to Montgomery or we come to Dothan? Do we go to Tallahassee? We come to Dothan. We go to Albany? We go to Dothan. So, during COVID, we saw a lot of people coming from both the other states to Dothan and Houston County for our health care. So I think that being prepared for what's coming is extremely important.
I know you talked about the customized medicine based on your DNA. The people listening can actually do that now. I think you had signed up for the All of Us program. I signed up for it, had my DNA swabbed or whatever. They took that, and I've not got the results back. But at some point in the next, most likely 6 months, I'm going to find out what medicines I need to avoid. What medicines just don't work for me. I'll even find out my ancestry information. So, and it's all for free, and you don't have to sign up and pay a lot of money to Ancestry.com. And
is that still available?
It's still available. Yeah, Google it. All of us. All of us. It's a UAB program, and it's not. It's private, so that they don't sell your information. Yes. It's only used for research for them to have research. They're looking to get a big database of DNA, especially in certain areas, so it's different in that way, that it's not sold out like some of the others are. Yes. And it's strictly for research and in order to help you in the long run understand how your body reacts to certain medicines and the environment and that we live in as well. So it is a wonderful. I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's something that UAB is a part of. We already have the UAB, the 9 dental chairs for residency program out at Dr. Hirsink's building. That's again. That's a UAB flag. That's the University of Alabama Birmingham being present here in our city. That's something to celebrate. Now, we went to a meeting today on health care and we talked about ACOM and what a big deal that they've done and how they've contributed to our community. Those are the things that build a quality that I think that we all can be proud of. Yeah. ACOM, I've always said, was one of the best decisions that I guess this generation of leaders has made. You look back at the history of the city of Dothan, and you see, those projects that just had a generational impact. Sony, being one of them. Of course, Sony's gone now, and everything runs its course eventually. But ACOM, I never thought that in Dothan, Alabama, I would go into a coffee shop in downtown Dothan, because it wasn't 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't a coffee shop in downtown Dothan, and you really didn't go to downtown Dothan for anything. No. So now you go into a coffee shop in downtown Dothan, and you see all these college students. Never thought I'd see college students in Dothan at all. And so you have all these college students, and they're studying for, I don't know what they're studying for, but they're studying for something that's way above my intelligence level. But it's amazing, the decisions that have been made. And I know I'm very fortunate to head up and lead Houston County at this moment in time. And I think you would probably agree that you're in the same position. There's just a lot of exciting things going on, and it's a great time to be a leader in this area.
And we can talk about all the sports. Soccer, football, everything. Every time we have these conversations, I leave and I smile all the way home thinking, man, it is so great to be here. And then let's not even, leave it to Dothan. When you expand out and go to our little towns that are around us and cities, they're doing great things. Absolutely. Rehoboth is doing great things. Headland is showing out. Wicksburg is coming along. Ashford is trying. Everybody is really trying. And I think everybody has the same mindset of we are our own entity, but we're all together.
It's interesting you say that, and it's interesting you say that right after talking about sports, because I went to Rotary today, and the basketball coach for Dothan High, he had finished up his remarks, and he's walking back to his chair, and he said, I got something else I want to say. And I don't pay attention to basketball, but apparently Dothan High had a really great basketball team last year and made it to the Final Four of the state. And he said, I noticed that all the coaches that are here today and some others come to our game, and they were truly pulling for our team, even though, we competed against these guys. They truly wanted us to win, and I think that's, and he's not from this area. He said, and I think that's special, and I think that's something we need to hold on to. And that just made my heart happy to hear that about my home.
Yeah, I think that's the epitome of us. We're all in this together. We realize the importance of standing together in this, because there's a lot of options out there in the world, and our area has a lot to offer with good people.
Well, and COVID accelerated accessibility, and I know I've heard you talk as well, Chairman, about that you can now live anywhere in the world if you want to, and still work and not have to live in that city that you're working for that company. And so you have to take all that into consideration. And so I think it is a wonderful thing for us to continue to work on our sports. And the art and the whole thing about the downtown started with a discussion on, what is your choices in art and culture and entertainment. We do have great and wonderful parks for sports, and we have a lot of great tournaments that come here, but what is the long range vision? What does the 50-year look like for us when it comes to things for people to do? Because I know a lot of times people say, well, everybody always says, well, there's nothing to do. They're teenagers. I said it back in the 70s, for Pete's sake. So we always complain about there's nothing to do. And so, but I think it's important. And I think that we always need to address that to have things for people to do. Especially teenage boys, when they're busy, they stay out of trouble. And I have two. I don't have a teenage. I have one teenage boy and and a grown man. So
yeah, well, that'll be a good segue into the next conversation I'd like to have about problems. I mean, we've been singing Kumbaya, everything's great, but there's some challenges. We had a meeting today about challenges facing an outlying community, unincorporated, that's experiencing some growth. What are we going to do with all this, wastewater, all the sewer? What are some of the challenges that you feel like you want to talk about that the City of Dothan is facing that you are trying to come to grips with as we continue to grow?
Well, my number one and two things to talk about it just about any time I go out in public and speak, and I usually bring them up because I think it's something that we all need to be aware of, because in the end, it's not always your mayor and your commission that's making the decision. It's the people that's making the decision. So, public education, how do you feel about public education? Should we give more money or not? Should we spend more time, spend more resources? Well, there's the whole dynamic. Well, what about independent and faith-based schools and homeschool and everybody? And people want choices now. But in the end, when someone looks to move into your area, then one of the things they almost always look at is public education. And so we always need, I think, is just Mark now. We need to be investing in our youth, in our kids. To some degree, when I was a kid in 72, 73, it's different now. I mean, there's some challenges out there for children and youth that I didn't have. And it's, it may be the same challenges, but it's coming at you a lot faster, it's a lot sooner, it's more available to you. And it's a harder job for the parents to stay on top of it. So I think education, public education ought to be a pretty, at the top of most people's discussions, as well as crime. The downfall to cities that grow larger and larger and larger and larger, ask any of the 5 largest cities in the state of Alabama, they'll tell you it's crime and public education. And we can't let either one of those get away from us. We need to always make sure that we're on top of our game for that.
That's a good point. Yeah, once you kind of lose that battle, that's very hard to claw back. Because then your people start leaving, and you're left with people that maybe crime is not that big of an issue, or maybe they're part of the part of the criminal problem. But that's definitely not a battle we want to use.
And there's small opportunities. I don't call them problems anymore. I call them opportunities. So the opportunities, like in sports, we know that everybody wants more pickleball courts. So we're working on that. We just got to figure out where and how and when we present that. But we know the needs of the people, because most of the time you can go on social media and let you know. So we're there, our departments are paying attention to that, and we're trying our best to meet all of those needs as well.
One of the things also that I think is wonderful is how I believe we are economically sound. We are moving into some very trying economic times in the world. And from the things that I have heard about Dothan and the surrounding areas in Houston County is there have been some smart people in place that have put us in a good position as far as fiscal responsibility. Is that true? Can you speak on that?
Yeah, and I really like to go back, many years, go back to City Manager Mike West, who was here for a long time. He was a very fiscally responsible city manager, did a great job of making sure we didn't overspend, or the city didn't overspend monies. And so that foundation was something that was built on. Mayor Smits, when he came into office, into office right after the Great Recession in 08, 09, and the challenge was to get people back to work. I mean, that was a really bad economic time. And so those commissions and that leadership did a great job, as well as setting us up. So we are in a great place where we are. I always fret over the fact that they print only how much sales tax revenue we have coming in, because they don't show the expense side. There's always 2 sides to every checkbook in every home, and there's monies that are coming in and monies that are going out. And so, it's expensive to run a city, and that. I mean, roads are not cheap. Sewer infrastructure is not cheap. Water, when you have a city that's 100 and something years old, you have water lines that are old. They got to be replaced. You got roads that have to be repaved. And then you got fire and police, because we got to make sure that people are safe, and that when they need medical care, that they can get it. And a house is on fire, that we can respond within 3.5 minutes. We are have the best rating for our fire departments you can have in the state, in the country. And that's something to brag about. And we've done a great job with funding our police department. And at the same time, this commission set aside a rainy day fund. So we automatically put monies aside to not be touched until we know we are in really, really a bad time and need that money. We have over $30 million just in a rainy day fund, much less that. So I say all that to say, it's still expensive to run a city, but we are in good shape. And we haven't started spending money yet. Now, we built a new city hall. We're going to have to spend some money. You can't do some of these larger, projects and not do so. So anybody would be foolish for us to think that we're down there at City Hall not thinking that we're going to do that. But we are in good shape. This is a really odd economic time. All the rules of economics are thrown out the window. A lot of money came in from the federal government, kind of made it a lot more challenging. And where we are in the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter of next year, who knows? Nobody knows. So we got to be careful with what we're doing as we move forward.
That's why it means so much that we do have fiscally responsible people running things, just in case we do run into that situation where you have to tap into that rainy day fund. At least you know that there's people responsible enough to tap into it and not be silly with it. Because
being in the construction business,
there you go.
I grew up with 4 or 5 years of good and then a couple of years of bad. I mean, it was almost invariable that you were going to go through a down cycle. We used to have cycles of 5 to 7 years, and so and nothing is fun about laying somebody off, especially somebody that you love and care for in your company, in your business, in your city. You've grown close to them. You know about them, their kids and their families, and here we are talking about Thanksgiving in a time, and the economy's tough, and I'd hate for the economy to slow down to the point where we have to let people go. That's hard. That's hard to do.
And that's a perfect time to move into one of the key things to try to prevent that from happening. One thing that we can do is shop local this holiday season, because we are rolling into that time of year where gifts will be purchased, more food will be purchased. We'll do kind things for less fortunate people. So we need to make sure that we do all of that as local as possible.
We absolutely do. There's a lot of families in our city that have vested and invested themselves and their resources to have services, food and retail, here, so that you don't have to go online. And even though online sales is continuing to grow, and online services, I mean, you can get services online. I mean, as a real estate company, you can get you a realtor online and never even to go into an office. I mean, so this world is changing, and that is changing. But to help our mom and pop stores, our small business owners that make up 70% of the Chamber of Commerce, and those that are invested in brick and mortar here in our city and our county, that's extremely important. And so we are grateful and appreciative, and push every year for that to shop local.
Even if you do shop online, most of them they have online stores. So you can even, if that's your thing, a lot of people don't like to go to the store. Just go to their website, purchase their things, and go by and pick it up. A lot of them have accommodated that kind of new way of doing business.
Absolutely. If you're not changing with the times, you're getting left behind, and that is one of them. I think that my business changes, all the time. Last recession we went through, it's completely changed, and we're having to, readjust and redo. But yes, online sales for even local people, as local companies, is an option they should be exploring.
Holidays, we're recording this episode the week before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
What are you doing? I guess this episode will drop next week, the week of Thanksgiving. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Well, typically, we do a extended family, because we have a lot of aunts and uncles and that are here in the Dothan area, and we meet at one particular house. A lot of times it's my aunt Norma Hanson and Bill Hanson, and when we sit around, they have a house that's got a kind of what they call the pit, and it's a little sunken area, and families that don't get to see each other because they may not live here or here, and they get to have conversations about what's going on with their kids and grandkids, and it's just a great time to relax and put the chaos of the world away, and be appreciative and thankful for family.
Yeah, just having Miss Norma around, I bet that's a hoot.
She's got enough life for about 10 people. So yeah, she's full of life. Yes.
I've not seen her lately, but yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So now, one of my memories from my childhood was being a waiter for, I forget the name of the restaurant now. Now that we're recording, I'm going to forget the name of the restaurant. But it was in Midland City. Your dad came. I don't know if it was business or city related stuff, but I remember being, oh my gosh, my first customer is Alfred Saliba. I was so nervous. I was a nervous child, but anyway, he tipped me well. I do remember that, and hopefully I gave him good service. But do you have any memories of him, the holidays? I've always admired your dad, and we've talked about him several times. I know you're a big fan of your dad. Unfortunately, no longer with us. Same deal with me. But what kind of memories do you have of Alfred?
Well, when I was thinking back on Thanksgiving, and I don't know if it's just because I'm older, but I think way back to the times when, of course, my father was alive, but also my grandmother and grandfather, my dad's mother and father, and They lived on Ducey Street, and it was on a little corner lot there on Ducey. It was a big lot back then, and we would go to her house, and with her Lebanese heritage, she cooked amazing food, and she would have gotten up that morning at 4 a.m. and started cooking, and so it's a level of comfort that you don't always have in life. But when you're with family and you're around a fellowship and table of fellowship, then it makes a difference for you, and to ground you and give you security and know that you're loved and cared for. And so, but the fun things, like who's going to carve the turkey? Was Granddad going to do it, or was Dad going to do it? Now is it, who's going to have those duties, and what kind of foods were you going to pick out, and how many different desserts, of the 10 desserts you had, how many of those were you going to have? So, yes, a lot of great memories on Ducey Street for the Saliba family.
Very sweet times. So let's wrap it up by just saying real quick, I don't think we've said it in here. What are you most thankful for this Thanksgiving this year? Well,
and it's always hard for me to think about what I'm thankful for without going ahead and just saying I'm thankful for God and all His grace. Amen. And everything that He's done for me, and not in a material way, but in a forgiving way, and showing His love. I'm thankful for family. I've had a wonderful family, a great family that I am most thankful for. I'm thankful for a great wife.
Yes.
As well. I
know.
And I'm thankful for the city. It's a blessing to be a part of this city and this county. We have great people here, and we can do anything that we want to achieve. And so I'm thankful to be in the position that I'm in this city, in this county.
Mm-hmm. Brandon, what you thankful for?
It's tough to top that, Mayor. Definitely family. I lost my dad this past year, and so this will be the first year that we don't have him, and that's been tough on Mom. But and our family's gotten smaller over the years as we've lost some people, and of course we don't produce as many kids as we used to, and so that's a little bit different. But I used to think as a kid that everything was permanent. Granddaddy was going to be here forever. My dad, I never imagined that there would come a day when they wouldn't be around anymore. And so, and I appreciate that now, and I think about that even within the context of the family as it's currently made up. I know that, one day some of those people around the Thanksgiving table are not going to be here, and then one day I'm not going to be here, and who knows in what order. So I'm thankful for the time that I get to spend with my family. That's probably it.
Amen. That's so true. I'm definitely thankful for, obviously, family. I mean, I love my husband. He loves me so good. I tell him all the time, I love how safe I get to feel with you. Just safe, every context of the word safe. And then my boys and my grandchildren and health. Thank God. I mean, as far as I know, I'm healthy, my family's healthy, and that is just invaluable, just to be able to have health. There's so many people in our lives now who can't say that, and they're struggling and they're dealing with things that it's so heartbreaking to hear them go through and watch them go through. And so just health is everything. It is everything.
And one last thought on my part,
yes.
Is as we talk about that, I think just for us, the challenge is to remember that there are people out there that don't have that same thing, that yes. They don't have the family, they don't have, so reach out to somebody. I was thinking about it today, how I'm sure I know some people that may not have somebody to spend a day, with around that, to feel that same kind of thing. So I think that's part of what we should be about as a people of Dothan and Houston County. And so maybe as a passing thought, maybe we should all be considering that.
Yes, reach out, because there's many opportunities to reach out and to help. And like you said, invite someone for Thanksgiving dinner. just invite them over and let them enjoy it. Well, thank you so much, Mayor Saliba, for being here with us. Thank you for letting us know what's going on. And I do want to just add on to the end, people can see the rendering of what's going on downtown, right? Isn't there a mock-up? How do they see that?
Go on our website, and we have places where you can go to look at what's going on.
Yes.
We also have a place we have a great website, and so at the very bottom it has all the projects. So any kind of road projects and updates, they're kept updated as well. Report a concern, but yeah, they can go online and check all of that out.
You guys do have a great website. Thank you so much for that. Brandon, we good?
We're good. I reached out to a few people and asked them to film little messages, and so they're going to send those in, and we'll roll those at the end of this. This is a time for Thanksgiving, and Mayor, I'm thankful that I get to serve in office while you're the mayor of Dothan. So thank you for being on today, and we look forward to doing this again.
I enjoyed it very, very much. Thank you.
It's the Red State Rundown.
Hey guys, it's Gant Pierce, your District 5 Dothan City Commissioner, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. This is generally a time that I get to be reflective on what I'm thankful for, and those things are my family, my friends, the great city of Dothan that I live in, Houston County. It's just a great time. It's kind of kicking off the holiday season. It's very special to me. Generally in my house, you can find a lot of football, you can find a lot of food, and obviously a lot of family. And so those are very special to me. Historically, the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade is something that I can remember being a kid and watching every time it came on. And we kind of continue that tradition today. So those are very special to me. Once again, from the bottom of my heart and my family, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Hello and happy Thanksgiving. I'm Walter Hill, CEO of Wiregrass United Way, and I just want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and remind you to please take a few minutes or a lot of minutes, not just on Thursday, but throughout this month and this season, to really be thankful for everything in your life, your family, your job, our communities. Let's all be really thankful for what we have and the many blessings from God. Happy Thanksgiving.